boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports, the Crunch Time Sports Show with Jeff Iafrate and Booner. It's Thursday, January 29th. We are back, and we are here to talk about the Senior Bowl. Dan Campbell getting praise. He's number one on a ESPN ranking, which we'll get to today. Fred Warner had some words for Dan Campbell on Amon-Ra St. Brown's podcast. We got Flannel Sam joining the show today, so it'll be a good show. How you feeling, man, Boone?
I feel awesome. It's been a packed day today. I'm fired up. We're talking draft prospects. I almost, Jeff, of being. Oh, actually, no. It's Thursday already. I was gonna put a proposition up for us to do mock draft Monday 1 week early, this Monday, because I've been so antsy to do a mock draft. I did one a couple of weeks ago. As soon as we lost, just to all right, let me dip my toes in a little bit, and I haven't done it since. But at least we're talking Senior Bowl. Today, I watched the Senior Bowl all day today. I love how the NFL Network they carry everything. Like, they show all of the plays, all the drills, everything. So I watched that all day, and I'm pumped up. I'm pumped to talk to Flannel. I missed Flannel, I think, last time because I was out sick. So I'm excited to talk a little ball with Flannel, see how he's feeling.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to talk to Flannel, man. He's an opinionated guy, and I think there's a lot of things that I do want to get his opinion on, like the Mike Kafka thing, talk a little draft, talk some free agency, we'll talk some Pistons with him as well. But you got the Senior Bowl going on, and this is the time of the year everybody starts, keying in on some position groups that the Lions may try and target. Although, if we've learned one thing from Brad Holmes among many, is that it's hard to predict a position group he's going to target, especially early in the draft, but just at all, to be honest with you. I mean, no one thought he would take a wide receiver as early as he did last year, and no one thought he would take a defensive tackle in the first round, or at least no one was very confident in it. You're obviously open to all possibilities, but this year I think there could be a similar type of vibe where, we're looking one way and Brad looks the other way, and whether it pisses people off or not. In the past, they've gotten some pretty good players, so I can't say that strategy is stupid. There are some players that have been standing out to me. I know you have some guys that you want to mention and give praise to. I got two players on offense and two positions I think the Lions could pick up at some point. These are like mid to late round guys, but who are some guys that have stood out to you throughout the Senior Bowl?
Can I real quick too, before we get into the players, can I say this to tease the people too real quick, the Fred Warner stuff for later? I also want to throw in there, I don't know if you saw this, shout out Easy, because I was listening to Easy and Spenny. Shout out Spenny as well. I was listening to those boys. I don't know if we can get the clip. Maybe I'll text Easy and see if he can send me the clip. But Fred Warner talks about Jack Campbell on the episode. I don't know. I just want to throw it out there. Little tease. Did you know this?
No, I did not.
I found it out an hour ago, and I was fired up. He gave high praise to Jack Campbell. He was at. I'm sorry. I'm getting so off track. I apologize.
No.
He asked though his top 5 linebackers in the NFL, and the third one he named was Jack Campbell. I'm like Fred Warner, the best that there is.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
That's big. Yeah, that's big.
I'm sorry. I just remembered that. I was like, I don't want this to leave my head because I was going to tell you before the show, and I forgot because I got pumped about prospects. So I'm glad I got that out to you. We got that out there.
Yeah, I would love to. I don't have that clip. I clipped him talking. I would have clipped it. I didn't even know he was talking about it.
Yeah, I just that was something that
that's interesting.
I just saw when Easy played it on their show tonight, and when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh! I've been for 2 years. I've been just being like Jack Campbell, best linebacker in the NFL, best linebacker in the NFL, and then finally it happens. And then Fred Warner, everyone's always told me you got to wait till you put him in the names with Fred Warner, and who better else to be he's in the names with Fred Warner than Fred Warner himself?
He's. Fred Warner is he's a future Hall of Famer, dude. That guy is elite. And he's probably, I mean, you only have a couple linebackers. I mean, he probably mentioned like Roquan in there. Probably like Roquan, Jack Campbell, Fred Warner.
Yeah. He said he was like me and Roquan are kind of, he was like me and Roquan go back and forth. Like he was like me and him have been battling it out for years. And I'm guessing he means that's like the best in the game. But he also mentioned Fred. So it was Fred Warner, Roquan. Oh man, I could text Easy to see if he can send me the
please
video.
I'll play that on the show. That'd be a good one.
Let me text him real quick.
For everyone that's watching, hit the like button on the stream. Hit the like button. It's free. It takes a second, and we much appreciate it. I do want to play some of these clips from the Senior Bowl because we have 2 clips from 2 different tight ends. I know this is a position group that I think we've talked about because of, you have Sam Laporta's contract coming up. And on top of that, Drew Petzing in the future, 13 personnel. It's something I think the Lions are going to start utilizing. It's the future of offensive football. It seems like a lot of offensive teams are starting to run it a lot more.
Yep.
So you're going to need another tight end. They have Brock Wright. They have Sam Laporta, but they've kind of struggled figuring out a third tight end. I mean, there was a point in time where Jackson Meeks was being talked about as someone that could maybe play some tight end. It's about time they go and get a tight end, whether that's in free agency or through the draft. But if they're going to go through the draft, I really like this tight end class. I think it's not, obviously it's not your Loveland and Tyler Warren class, but I think this class has guys that are going to be drafted on day 2, day 3 that could be pretty good players. I
Agreed.
think a lot of guys that are going to fall, and the Lions don't have a third, but they have a 4th, and maybe in the 4th round, or if they trade back and get another draft pick, you could see them taking a tight end that and Brad Holmes so far is 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, I guess. James Mitchell, I don't know if you'd count him, but 1 for 2, whatever. He hit on Sam Laporta in the 2nd. So I actually like their odds of drafting a tight end. I know you can mention safety, linebacker, different other positions in there. But honestly, I mean, I don't know. I know you mentioned a tight end to me that you liked a lot. I have a guy that I'm paying attention to a little bit. So who's the guy that you've been
So I brought 4 guys to the table today. And just mind you too, Jeff, and I don't know if you're on the same, like for me, the guys that I brought were all, and we're going to kind of get into, I think over the next few weeks, a lot of different players. The guys that I have are guys that like I've researched, but also are in the Senior Bowl, kind of standing out in the Senior Bowl that caught my eye. And as well as like the tight end that I have the tight end out of Houston, Tanner Koziol, I believe is how you pronounce it, Koziol. I actually texted Klotz about him 3 or 4 days ago. I started doing tight ends. I think it was like Monday, and I was going through all the tight ends, and right away, dude, when I saw him, I was like, wait a second, who is this kid? And I think like one thing with the Lions, and when you're kind of going to be looking, I don't know how you've been looking at it, Jeff. I think the thing like they just signed a tight end to a futures deal today. I think you have Sam Laporta, who is like one of the elites of the elites, right? I think they're going to be looking potentially for. I know you have Brock Wright, but maybe another pass catching tight end, and as well as a run blocking tight end.
Yeah,
like I think it's like they're looking at it as like you can't have too many. Tanner Koziol is more so of a pass catcher. Like in 2024, he had 94 catches, which for a tight end is like insane, an insane amount of catches. So he very high volume. The guy's 6'7", Jeff, and I'm not talking about the meme. A 6'7" tight end.
Big dude.
He's 6'7". He said, come on now. But at Houston, like he was extremely productive. He had over like 600-700 yards, 6 or 7 touchdowns as well. A lot of 6'7s going on with this guy. Just realizing that right now. But he's like 6'7", almost 250. Just a big body dude. Catches everything. And how I look at a guy like this, Jeff, you get him later in rounds. If the Lions look at him later in rounds, turns into one of those situations to where if you go 13 personnel, let's say in the red zone, like that's an extremely dangerous red zone target. Like if you have 13 personnel, you're sitting in the red zone, you have a running back there, you go play action, you have Sam Laporta streaking across the field, you have a 6'7" tight end coming across the field as well at the back of the end zone, right? What safety? Honestly, a 6-foot safety is going to guard a 6'7" tight end in the back of the end zone. That it's not going to happen. So this is a guy who's a target. I don't know if you have the video. I sent you the video. Are you able to play the video?
Yeah.
Today in the Senior Bowl, like this is exactly when I sent it to Klotz Monday. When I was watching his film, I was like, "Oh no, dude, this goose is a massive target in the red zone." And then today he makes this play at the Senior Bowl This is literally what I texted Klotz about a couple of days ago. I was like, this guy will make plays in the red zone for you. And he's going to be a weapon. And whether he's on the Lions or not, this kid is going to be a weapon. And he's going to go in, day 2, day 3. You can play whenever now, Jeff. But this is the type of stuff you get out of Tanner Koziel. It's incredible. Over a defender too. Like, look. Hey, by the way, can you go back just a little bit? Just pause it before you get to the tight end. Well, this catch is incredible. No, keep going. Keep going. Once he gets up and starts walking towards the offensive lineman. Right now. Look how that's a tight end bigger than his tackle. Look how big this guy is. He's a massive human being. Huge, massive. And he's just and he's fluid too, dude. He's athletic, runs great routes. Like, typically a guy that big, maybe a little gumpy, a little slower. Not Tyler, or not Tanner. My bad, I said Tyler. Tanner.
Yeah, I mean, he's this guy. Yeah,
massive human.
Yeah, he is. He's a massive human. I mean, he really is. Almost 100 catches for a tight end is impressive. It means he's got great hands. I mean,
and Steve Wild said bad blocker. That's the thing too. I think, like, to my point at the beginning of this, Jeff, like, I think you have to get multiple tight ends, and then whether you keep Brock Wright or what happens with Brock Wright, I know you just signed him, but just adding more in that room. You know what I mean? Like, if this is a day 3 guy, like, look at Sam Laporta. I was texting him back and forth with Klotz about this. Like, he was like, who was it that I compared to Sam Laporta earlier this week? Do you remember? I gave him like a Sam Laporta, Trey McBride comp. Oh, the kid out of Oregon. What's his name?
Oh, Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah. I said it kind of reminds me. I was watching his film. I was like, it kind of reminds me of how, like, Sam Laporta runs routes and how he plays in the open field. And Klotz was like, well, he can't block like Sam Laporta, or he might, or whatever it was. And I was like, Sam Laporta, his first year, wasn't the greatest blocker either. Like, that was something that I remember after his first season, he was like, they were like, what do you need to get better at? He was like, I need to figure out how to block in the NFL. Like, he was like, and he was straight up about it. And I think that's something with, if you can get someone with some talent and some size, you can always teach that. That's something that can be taught. Size can't get taught. Like, that's God's given gift.
Yeah. No, this guy, he's a freak. I think when you look at who they want as a third tight end, it's someone that I think can bring some of that versatility. I think, someone who can block, obviously, but this guy could be, if he's as great of a receiving tight end as advertised, you might not, depending on what happens with Sam Laporta, if you can't afford Sam for whatever reason, the reality is you're going to have to look for a replacement. Now, I don't know if he can be the replacement, but he's got clearly a ton of upside. If you're 6'7", catching almost 100 balls in college, I mean, there's I think the blocking thing, it's not like a lack of size. I mean, it's that can be taught,
Yep.
Maybe Brad looks at that stuff as like a given, but you can teach the blocking. You know what I mean? I like what Spencer just said. It's like you can teach being 6'7" and jumping over DBs and linebackers and catching touchdowns. And honestly, it's kind of ironic that you wanted to play that video, because who threw that ball to him was quarterback out of Baylor, who actually he's been playing really well in the Senior Bowl, and he's really productive at Baylor. Sawyer Robertson. He's got, and this is
a lefty.
I don't think he's a lefty. No, I don't think he's there is a lefty there. I think another guy. I don't think Sawyer Robertson's a lefty, but
it's a South Dakota State kid, or North Dakota, or whatever.
But the North Dakota State. That's what you're talking about. But Sawyer Robertson, 6'4", 220 out of Baylor. The only thing, I guess, for a guy like him is he's got everything: the size, he's got the arm, clearly, the ball placement. He's probably going to be a mid-round guy. And I think just in terms of what the Lions are probably looking for is someone that can, that's big, and he's got some mobility to him as well, which I really like. He's not like a Haynes King where he's running around, but he can move in the pocket.
Yep.
He had 31 TDs this year, 12 picks, almost 4,000 yards. I think the only thing you look at with him is his completion percentage. He was about 60% his last year at Baylor, 60% his career at Baylor, career in college, to be honest with you. So that's something that if you want to sit a guy and develop him to be a backup, I mean, to what the point you always make, if you want to continue to, like other contenders do, like the Eagles drafting Tanner McKee. And Tanner McKee, by the way, in college was not productive at all. But Tanner McKee had all the intangibles, and they looked at him as someone that they could develop. I think Sawyer Robertson is someone that they probably, I mean, Brad's there, so they're getting a front row seat to see some of these quarterbacks. I know they met with Haynes King, and I bet they probably meet with Sawyer Robertson too. Honestly, he's an intriguing prospect. So quarterback is someone that stood out to me watching him at the Senior Bowl, because you see a lot of these highlights and he's throwing the football. So it'll be interesting to kind of pay attention to him. But the tight end I have that I want to mention, because we're going tight ends, another tight end that's probably going to be like a day 2, probably. I mean, if we're being realistic, probably like a 4th rounder, somewhere around there. We'll see a Sam Roosh, tight end out of Stanford, who was originally committed to Iowa tight end university, and then went to Stanford. He's big. He's not 6'7", but he's 6'5", 260. And he had like 500-ish yards this year, 11 yards per reception. The quarterback threw for like 1,800 yards. They had no quarterback. So he had basically almost 1/3 of what his quarterback produced this year at Stanford. So Sam Roosh, an intriguing prospect. I have this video of him. This is the type of player that I've been seeing at the Senior Bowl. And this is the one when they do the one-on-ones. I like watching the one-on-ones.
Love the one-on-ones.
And this is Sam Roosh and one-on-one. This is what he can bring. Just straight up, not even alongside the offensive line, lined up out wide and just catching balls over DBs. I mean, that's what you look for. He's like he's also receiving tight end, but the thing I like about Sam Roosh is he's one of the best run blocking tight ends in this entire
Love that.
So
yeah. That's one of those guys where that's one of those guys like if you're talking about you're trying to add a pass catcher at the tight end as well as kind of a blocker, that's a perfect guy.
Yeah, I'm curious where they go if they do draft a tight end, because ideally you want to find both in one player, but there's a lot of really good pass catching tight ends, and there's guys that are more complete, and I'm curious which way they go. Who's the next guy you have?
I guess it depends on how they look at it, like how are they going to approach it. The one thing I will say just real quick before I go to the next guy is the one thing I don't like, I don't really, if I'm on this, I see a lot of people like Steve Wilds go after a free agent tight end. I've seen it a lot in kind of Lions Twitter. I'm a little bit more so out on that. Like, I think if you can get a rookie in day 2 that, you have Sam Laporta, you have an all-pro tight end. If he stays healthy, you have an all-pro. If you can add a day 2 guy who's going to give an impact with him and Brock Wright, dude, you've won. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need an Isaiah Likely to come in and catch passes for you. Like, that's just adding, like, again, it comes back to the money conversation where it's like you are now in kind of every single dollar counts. You do not need to go out there and pay a tight end in free agency. Like, I would rather them pay a linebacker or an edge rusher or an offensive lineman than a tight end, where you can draft, especially like you said, Jeff. Like, we just named 2 guys who probably are going to be decent at the next level, and those are day 2, day 3 guys. There's so many tight ends in this class that are going to come in and maybe not be productive like a Trey McBride. I know Sadiq probably has the opportunity to do that. He's going to go day 1, but there's going to be a lot of guys day 2, day 3 who are going to come in and be like those like Pat Fryermuth types, like the guys that's going to give you 300, 400 yards, even less than that, and block for you at a very high level. So
this is what I've been noticing with the
NFL
NFL
to spend money too.
I have this tight end take, and I think the tight end position isn't like it used to be. Like back in the day, if you could find, Rob Gronkowski or like a Tony Gonzalez, these guys that were just receiving matchup nightmares, just having a tight end like that was just something that if you had it, it was incredible. It was an advantage on the field on offense. Now you're starting to see just tight ends come out that are just incredible players. Like, I think tight ends now, I think. And it helps that like Kelsey, Kittle, and Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, these guys are making the position very popular. You're going to start seeing tight ends come out every year that are really good in the mid rounds. Like, they're becoming more of like a common theme of good tight ends. Like, it's not like it used to be. It's like wide receiver. Like, wide receivers, you're going to find a 4th round guy, 5th round guy that comes out and is just pretty good. Like, I think the tight end position is starting to be that way. You saw 2 tight ends go in the 1st round last year. Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen every year, but they're starting to become like the Lovelands of the world, or the, Tyler Warrens of the world. Like, these guys are becoming a little more common. That's just my take on it, what I've noticed. So I wouldn't mind them drafting a tight end. Now it depends where you draft them, but I wouldn't be shocked if they take one at all. So that's where I'm at with it.
So by the way, I'm spot on with you. Like, I agree 100% with that, with the tight ends.
Like you might be better off drafting him now. You know what I'm saying? Like
I agree.
Ones. Like
yeah. And I feel like a lot of these tight ends, so many teams get guys in day 2, day 3 that are just like ends up being just very, very solid contributors for them.
Yeah, look at the Packers. The Packers took 2 tight ends, bro. Tucker Kraft and the other one, I can't remember his name. They took another tight end the same draft. They're both pretty good. Like Tucker Kraft is obviously very good, but like they're becoming more of a.
This might be a bad throw out, but Robert Tonyan.
No,
he's older.
With the Packers, but he actually I don't know what happened. I liked Robert Tonyan back in the day.
I saw him today. I saw something on him today, and it popped in my head. All right, do you want the guys I have, and I want people to be clear about this. Like typically, I think like obviously like we're gonna talk a lot of first, second round guys. I think the guys that are in the Senior Bowl, like there's only there's a handful of guys that are going to be in the top 30. A couple of defensive there's a couple defensive linemen, maybe some offensive linemen. I have one guy that potentially could be a first round pick for you. Do you want me to go him now? I'll go him now, and then I'll do my 2 sleepers. So I have 3 more. The one I have now, and I think you've seen him, but Jennings Dunker out of Iowa, I think he might be one of my favorite players in this draft. And yeah, it might be because of the mullet, and he's the redhead mullet is one of the most intriguing things of all time. I watched him in an interview today with Tom Pelissero, and they were like, what do you eat? What do you do? And he's like, I just love Culver's. And he's like, I eat peanut butter jelly sandwiches in the morning. And he was like, I drink hot chocolate and I love black coffee. It was like one of the most like offensive lineman answers of all time. And they actually walked up and gave him a coffee on the set while he was doing it. But I think Jennings Dunker, the thing with Jennings Dunker, this is what I'll say. And I was actually, and Jeff, actually, I'm going to add you to this. I'm creating a group chat. I'm creating an NFL draft junkie group chat, and you will be added to it. So far, there's 2 guys in it. I think I have a group of 5 people that I want in it. Do you want me to name the people? I can name the people.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's going to be me, you, Spencer Raxter, Lukas Klotz, and Easy. I think that's all. I think that's going to be the invitations. And I'm sorry if we're close and you're listening to this and I didn't put you on that. I'm sorry. I want to get the best ideas for people. And Jennings Dunker, I text Spencer this morning as well. I'm not comparing his play and who he is to Penei Sewell. Like that's the last thing I'll do. Penei Sewell is the best offensive lineman in the NFL. But the one of the pushbacks for him, and I'm sure you've heard this, Jeff. One of the biggest pushbacks of him is his size, right? Like they're like, well, his arm length, he has short arm length. He has this, he has that. I sent Spencer this morning. Penei Sewell, between 6'4", 6'5", depending on, if it's a good day, 6'5", 33.25-inch arms. Jennings Dunker, 6'4", almost 6'5". He's like on the edge of it. 34-inch arms, so bigger than Penei Sewell arms. And this is Senior Bowl measurements. I don't know how accurate. I'm guessing Senior Bowl's pretty accurate if they want to get the right info out there. So it's very, very similar build to Penei Sewell. The only difference is obviously he's like a half an inch shorter than Penei, about 10 pounds less. About 10 pounds less. So, but that's something you can easily put on. You know what I mean? And I think that the interesting thing with him is he played right tackle for almost every single start that he had at Iowa, besides like 5. I think it was like 35 out of his 40 starts or whatever it was. He played right tackle. This is a perfect excuse to move Penei Sewell to left tackle. You get Jennings Dunker. You trade back in the first, Jeff, and you go like 28 to 32. Or in that range, you draft Jennings Dunker in that first round, maybe even second round if you want to, and you move Penei left. Jennings Dunker could start right away at right tackle. And I'll even go one up on this. If he doesn't work out at right tackle and he's not a good right tackle and you struggle with that, guess what you do? He's going to be I almost want to say it, he's going to be, I'll say Pro Bowler, but you could almost say all pro. Like he has potential to be an all-pro interior offensive lineman in the NFL. Like that's the size he has, and that's the mentality he has. Like that's how he plays. He's that good. And if you can end up getting a guy that potentially could be your starting right tackle as a rookie, and worst case scenario, he's your starting left guard. And I'd heard today in an interview, Jeff, he was like, I've been taking snaps at center just in case. Like, I just want to play ball. That's a dude you want in your building, dude. Come on. I mean, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
I'm all for. I mean, his mullet is incredible. And by the way, I want to, now that we're mentioning offensive linemen, I got another one for you. And I'm in love with him. I'm going to be honest. Absolutely in love with him. Steve Lehman just put him in there. Jake Slaughter out of Florida. That guy is a stud, an absolute stud. I've been trying to dive more into the centers and offensive linemen, like, Jennings Dunker, a tackle, but like you said, he's versatile. Jake Slaughter's not like he's a center. But the thing I like about him, size. Okay, he's 6'5", 300 pounds, but he's athletic. He's Iron Man. He doesn't, even if he's banged up, he's playing football. And on top of that, what I like about him as well, highly intellectual as a center. Obviously, you want your guy to be super smart, but on top of that, which I think Goff's going to love that, he is one of Florida's leaders. Like, he is like a captain leader in the locker room. And I know the name is sick. Like, your name's Jake Slaughter, but he's an actual badass, dude. And I think he's going to be an anchor in the NFL, and he's probably going to be, someone that if the Lions so choose to take a center, not to start him day one, but to develop him, that's a dude that you can bring in and develop. I mean, he played in the SEC, he got to go up against Florida's defensive line every day in practice, which they got some guys coming out, some massive human beings. Yeah. And I like Jake Slaughter a lot. So I think there's a lot of offensive linemen that the Lions are going to be. I mean, there's a lot of them coming out this year. You got tackles in the first round, but centers too, man. Like, Jake Slaughter's a stud. So I'm with Steve Lehman in there. He was the 8th highest graded center in the country, according to PFF. He's an excellent run blocker, really good pass blocker. I mean, I just don't know what you want. 800 snaps plus snaps, allowed 1 sack. I mean, that guy's an anchor. So I think he's probably right now. There's still a lot of players on the offensive line to kind of look at, but he's so far one of my favorite players. At the Senior Bowl, he's doing a really good job. So
it's so interesting to me. Like, you start to hear a lot about these guys. Like, I just always, like, right away, I'm just, I wonder where they end up falling in like, not falling, but like, where do they like going in the draft? Like, it's such an interesting. You just never know. Like, last year, we thought so many guys were first rounders and guys second, and then like a guy would fall to the 4th. We saw Isaac Tesla, who we had, back towards the end of the draft. He goes to the Lions in the 3rd. I mean, you even saw Ahmed Hassanin. Everyone doing mock drafts had him going in the 3rd round, and he doesn't go to the Lions until 5th or 6th round. Like, it's just such a. You just never know with these guys, man.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys' projections, like it says, Jake Slaughter could be like a mid-round guy. He could even fly up and be like a 2nd, 3rd round pick. I mean, who knows? Yeah,
a lot of these guys at the Senior Bowl are like, you see, like, they're not even top 100 picks. I was listening to Todd McShay talk about some of the guys, like that showed out the last few days, and he named off like 2 or 3 guys. He was like there's a D3 wide receiver Klotz was texting us about that's just having an incredible few days. Like, no one really knew who he was, and then he comes into the Senior Bowl, and Todd McShay's sitting there going on his show like, hey, this guy could be a top 100 pick, and he's like, he's D3, and it's like, wait, what? Like, he could be the day 2 guy. And
it's your guy, Derek Moore out of Michigan, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a first day pick all of a sudden. Yeah,
I was going to say he has the production, but he's tearing up the Senior Bowl. Like, he could sneak into that late 1st. I mean, the way he's playing now, it matters, dude. The Senior Bowl matters. I mean, they look at guys, like, because they get to meet with every guy at the Senior Bowl for 20 minutes, every team. So they get to talk to them. It's like the combine. It's like a mini combine. They get to talk to them. They get to see him compete. They get to see him in one-on-ones, like best versus best. And, like, there's guys, like I heard, I did see a clip from Todd McShay, and he was mentioning how there's guys at the Senior Bowl that are just taking every rep. Like, they don't want to take any reps off. Like, that's something scouts are watching.
Dude,
they're watching all of them.
I mean, these 2 guys aren't guys that I'm going to say for the Lions, but these are guys like TJ Parker out of Clemson. He went back to Clemson, and he didn't have like the greatest year, but he's like shown out of the Senior Bowl, and people knew who he was. Like, he probably, if he was out last year, he probably could have been a 1st round pick. Now all of a sudden, TJ Parker's coming out, and he's like dominating at the Senior Bowl, and now everyone's like, oh, is he back? Like, he's moving back up the draft board. And then there was also who's a Texas Tech interior guy?
I don't know.
Hunter.
Oh, Lee Hunter.
Lee Hunter was a guy that, like, he's probably going to go. I think he was projected. I saw today, like, I believe it's Lee Hunter. There's the guy that's been going nuts. And he's been having like an insane Senior Bowl, and he is rocketing up the board just on the Senior Bowl. Like just showing up and putting his head down and grinding, and everyone's like, who is this? Like this guy is dude, Jeff, I'm telling you, it's these Texas Tech kids. I've been texting you and Klotz about these kids. I've texted you guys probably 4 times and said, Texas Tech kid again, Texas Tech. Dude, they're so
they
good.
Didn't have the season they had without dude, they had a ton of
I want Brad to get a Texas Tech kid. So, like, you know how Brad gets Alabama guys? I want that to be Texas Tech. Like, I think these Texas Tech dudes are like legit good.
Yeah, there's some studs, man. There's a lot of studs. I mean, we're just diving into a 1% of the coverage.
Do you have any more? I have 2.
No, those are the 3 guys. I brought 3 today. I was like, I'm still watching a lot more, but yeah, Jake Slaughter, Sam Roosh, and Sawyer Robertson. Those are the 3 guys I wanted to mention today.
Okay. So I'll leave one of them off the board. I'm just going to do it. So I have 2 real quick ones. One, I want people to really watch this kid. Safety out of TCU, Bud Clark. Yep. Incredible, Jeff. Bud Clark is like, dude, he's going to be.
He's like 6'2".
Dude, he's like 6'2", 190. He's got like that Kirby Joseph height a little bit, but he plays like he can play anywhere in the second. Like, I would think, and maybe I'm wrong at this, but I would think that he's physical enough to get into nickel. He could play back. If you're looking for another safety, and listen, like, you know how Kirby was like a 3rd-round guy, day 2 guy? That's going to be like a Bud Clark. Like, if you're trying to find a center, you don't want to spend your first 2 picks on a safety. Sorry. If you want to find a safety, if you don't want to spend your first 2 picks on a safety, and you're like, all right, we need to find a guy that's productive, who can play right away, and who's going to bring the energy. Like Bud Clark, dude, he's the real deal. He had like I think he played
combine guy like that. Like after the combine, like he might shoot up to. Like,
I think he's already moving up in the Senior Bowl because he's been making plays. He had like 13 interceptions at TCU. Like I think it's like a school record. Incredible. He's a ball hawk. He's like Kirby Joseph. He just has a nose for the ball, but he also can play. Like if he needs to move around, and you're like, hey, Brian Branch is down today. You need someone else to step in. He can do that, and you can have Kirby. Oh, Kirby's down. You throw Bud Clark in there, and you have Bud Clark and in Brian Branch, and you get him in the 3rd, 4th round. It's an absolute steal of a guy, and he does everything. The only bad thing I wrote down here, literally the only negative that a lot of people obviously are saying about is he is a little smaller. Like his frame is like he's only 185, so he's he probably could put some weight on. But if he gets a little bigger, man, put some more muscle on, he's going to be a problem in the NFL. Like he's if you don't get him, he's a dude you're going to hear his name over the next 2 or 3 years, and you'd be like. It's like Cam. Remember when we had that conversation about Cameron Kitchens from Miami? And we're like, oh man, little late round guy. And then I think the Rams end up getting him, and he ends up being an absolute stud for him. Like that's what Bud Clark feels like to me. That's one of my guys. I texted you today. I said, Bud Clark's my guy. Like I have to put my foot down on that. And then the other dude, I don't know if you saw this. This is another late round guy, linebacker. We keep talking about like linebackers to Detroit. This kid's been having a good Senior Bowl. But the Pittsburgh linebacker, Kyle Lewis, has been having like an insane Senior Bowl. And he's I can show you here, Jeff.
I'm glad you brought him up.
He's one of my favorite players so far this week, dude.
He's been in the NFL.
Dude, he's been incredible. This is him. Just look at this. Look at like he's a little behind on it, and then boom, just out of nowhere. You see how long he is? Like he's and then also here, hold on. There's another play. And he does everything, Jeff.
Yeah, he's a stud, dude. He might be honestly like what I see Kyle Lewis is in the NFL is he could be like a hybrid, like a safety. He could guard tight ends.
Yeah.
Like that type.
Well, I think his like bread and butter is coverage. Like he is really good. Yeah. Like, and if you're like, I think one of the things it's like everyone that you're sitting there, you're like everyone's saying, oh, you need to replace Anzo if you don't sign it back, right? So what does that turn into? Okay, you got to get someone that's good in coverage, right? Like that's what it is. This is a guy like I don't know if for him you're going to be able to right away, like if he's going to play instantly, but he's at least a guy that like at least he's going to be good in coverage in the NFL. And He is. I feel like for a linebacker, like you said, maybe a little versatile to the safety because he is a little smaller. Like I'm looking at his
He's just a stud.
draft
Like,
profile.
Draft that guy because
Everything's in the red. Like his weight's 224 as a linebacker. He's 6 foot, a little short. But he's like, dude, one of the notes here in his draft profile, it literally says he's a film junkie who shows up at 5:50 a.m. To study and install footage, translating preparation into game breaking play consistent. Like that's what the Lions need. And then the very next one says the coverage skills belong in a different tax bracket. Smooth hips, rangy zone drops, and can mirror tight ends vertically. Like this is like that linebacker. If you're like, hey, who do we replace Anzo with? This is kind of like that ideal. And I know he's a little bit later of he's not like a first, second round guy where you're like, hey, he could probably play right away. You get him in the building and start working with him. That's depth in that linebacker room to where you're like, you might have found a diamond in the rough with Kyle Lewis.
And he fits two positions. Like, okay, if he's a safety at the next level, you need a safety. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even matter. He fills two positions for you. Like, I love it. I love Kyle. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because that's another player I really like, Kyle Lewis.
Those were my 5. Well, I said 4. I saw Spencer in there put Jacob Rodriguez, please. My 5th guy in my notes today was Jacob Rodriguez. Like I would not be mad if they drafted him in the 2nd round. I wouldn't.
That's a guy I'm still trying to like figure out because he's highly productive in the Heisman conversation and everything. I just don't know. He's another one of those guys. He's like 6 foot, 6'1". He's 230. He's a little bigger than Kyle Lewis. He's highly productive. He's like a passing. He's eating up passing lanes. I mean, he's got 4 interceptions this year, 7 forced fumbles. I want to see him test. I know like what his speed is, like stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know.
He's the guy. And Austin just put in the chat. If you're talking about like someone who could play right away at the next level and replace Alex Anzalone, Jacob Rodriguez could do that. And I think I'm not gonna say he can do it without skipping a beat where you're like, oh, you're missing Anzo. But if you're like in the draft, you're trying to get as close as possible, in my opinion. I think Jacob Rodriguez is that style. Like he's good in coverage, like you said. He has a knack for the ball. The one story that I heard about him.
I mean, he could do really good.
Yeah. The one story that I heard about Jacob Rodriguez in the last 48 hours is the one like this last year, he obviously had the 7 forced fumbles, and in the Senior Bowl, he had a couple forced fumbles already. Jacob Rodriguez learned when he kind of made that transition and started getting to like elite. He learned to punch the ball out. You know where he learned it from? His coach went to the Detroit Lions training camp last year and got a specific drill and something that the defense in Detroit does to punch balls out. And Jacob Rodriguez said that he learned it from the Detroit Lions. And that was why he got so good this last year at punching balls out, was because of something within the Detroit Lions organization.
That's
how crazy is that?
That's interesting. Yeah, that's he's got incredible instincts. I mean, the guy, you don't have all those turnovers without having incredible. He's a playmaker, which they don't have. You can always use playmakers.
Yeah, imagine him and Jack next to each other,
dude. Yeah, I mean, because Jack's got the size. Obviously, like that's probably his only knock is you just be like, well, he's a little smaller, but he makes up for it. You know what I mean? He makes up for it. And I think one thing I think I saw someone put this out too, like when it was something about Jacob Rodriguez, but he actually played offense, I think, before, like early in his career. I think he was like a quarterback or he played some position on offense, and then he transitioned to a linebacker. So it's like the guy's got ball skills. It's like kind of the Kirby Joseph thing, or Kirby played wide receiver and then transitioned to safety. So he already has the hands for it. Like if you're a quarterback, you're going to see the field differently. You know what I'm saying? And he's playing linebacker. So yeah, I like Jacob Rodriguez.
I'm so interested. Yeah, he is an interesting one, actually, because he is a little undersized for his position. He's 235, which isn't like – I'm guessing
6 foot,
how much more weight can a guy like that put on? You know, I mean, probably some.
Not a ton more. I mean, he's not the
– you start to lose speed. You start to –
yeah.
I don't know.
I love it. Hey, listen, it's just getting the draft coverage fired up. Yeah, I love it. Jace, appreciate the $2. Just looking to McNeil Warren.
I'll write his name down right now.
That's the Toledo. I remember we were talking about him.
That's the tight or the safety. Sorry.
Yeah, the Toledo safety.
Hey, Toledo's about to have 2 or 3 drafts. They're about to have 2 guys go in the top 20.
Don't tell Klotz that. He'll claim Toledo.
Klotz
Yeah, no.
I wasn't familiar with this kid either until I think we brought him up on Monday.
Yeah, McNeil Warren. I think I heard Mel bring him up. Shout out Mel Kite. And Scott mentioned him too. Scott did mention him. By the way, Scott's been on a heater with names with us. He's been mentioning. Remember, you mentioned Ahmed Hassanin.
Yeah, he has been.
So,
by the way, I'm about a week and a half now into starting figuring out everything for the draft and learning and getting into this. I have not watched 1 second of Mel Kiper, and I'm so happy I haven't.
Yeah, it's you don't watch Mel Kiper for film breakdown. It's just he is the Godfather. I'll always say it. He's the Godfather. I don't listen to him for all my information, but I like watching Mel Kiper, man. He's just I like
McShay, dude.
Yeah, you watch all of them. Todd, you watch Mel, Field Yates, all those guys do a great job with the draft. But
by the way,
you guys always give me shit about the Mel Kiper stuff, and now I have to defend him. He's the
Do you have your glasses over there?
Um,
Your Mel Kiper glasses from last year?
I do. These my Mel Kiper glasses.
ETN, Daniel Jeremiah. Daniel Jeremiah is a good one too.
Daniel
Jeremiah. There we go. But there's Mel Iafrate.
And by the way,
Daniel Jeremiah, by the way, I think Daniel Jeremiah goes out on a limb a lot more. He takes bigger shots than people.
You know who does that? Bucky Brooks.
Does he?
Dude, yeah.
Because I'll go back and watch after the draft. I'll go look at some of Daniel Jeremiah's calls and top 50 prospects in this, and it was he was kind of way off. He was so far off on a lot of guys.
Yeah, but Bucky Brooks has some hot takes. I think if I remember correctly, I don't know exactly who, but he might have been in the Malik Willis top 5 camp. I want to say he was in there.
Of course, dude.
He's one of those. I could be wrong on that, but there's been some wild things he's done in the draft. Which, by the way, they're not always going to be right. But going out on a limb is kind of him.
Can I ask you a question?
Have you seen Taylor Green? By the way,
yeah, Taylor out of Arkansas.
He's the Anthony Richardson, man.
Yeah, guess, and you know what? Go figure. Guess who brings Taylor Green up?
Who?
John the Doc Macaroon. He's that's my guy. And it's I'm pretty sure the Doc did. I think wasn't that who he said?
He's Anthony Richardson. Oh, yeah. He's Anthony Richardson. And by the way, we were complaining about the offense that Isaac Tesla was in. Who was the quarterback? Taylor Green.
Oh, yes.
It's okay.
That's actually such a good. Oh, dude, that's such a good point, actually.
Yeah, let's
I was texting. I text Klotz today. I text our main group, and then I text Klotz on the side, and I told him, I said, dude, I don't know if you feel the same way, but my God, dude, I wish the Lions could draft a wide receiver. There's just so many dudes. They're not going to, and they shouldn't at all in the draft. They don't need weapons. But dude, there's so many dudes in this draft.
And I know this is the point I've made for so long. And it has nothing to do with wide receivers come out every year.
Every year. Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame he's going to be a day 2 guy, bro. If you didn't go Tesla and you got Malachi Fields this year instead of Tesla, I would have been yep.
And I understand that James Williams is extremely talented. I'm not saying a guy you can just find those guys that grow on trees, but look at the Seahawks, bro. JSN's one of the slowest human beings ever, and they're in the Super Bowl and he's insane. Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's not always about what you can do. Is he has God-given ability, but that's not the end all be all when it comes to winning a Super Bowl. It doesn't to me.
Who's their wide receiver too?
Cooper Kupp, another slow human being.
And Rashid
Shaheed is really good and has speed, but they just acquired him at the deadline. It wasn't
trade for him.
Yeah.
He's a free agent now. We're gonna.
Yeah, exactly. So you can find guys that can fit a role, but that's why I was always man, you drafted Tesla. He's incredibly talented. You didn't have to commit to JMO, and it's like running back. I say that with running back, but it's wide receivers too. And I actually believe tight ends are becoming more common as well. So you're going to start seeing it's really offensive skill positions because it's an offensive league. So these guys are coming out every year. There's a bunch of players coming out, man.
Yeah. That's why I don't know, dude. There was just you watch the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl, and you start to figure out some of these day 2, day 3 guys, and you're like, dude, the talent. You add some of those guys to this Lions roster. Oh my, like the one that took me away, and everyone is talking about him, is Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame. It's like some of his play, like incredible. And Klotz said Omar Cooper Jr. Out of Indiana. Out of Indiana. And Indiana doesn't have just Omar Cooper Jr. They have Surratt as well. Like they have some dudes who might go later in the draft that are absolute dogs.
Omar's a baller too. That's another guy.
Dude. He had like 16 touchdowns.
Yeah,
it's insane.
He had
I don't think he played in every.
Who did he play? They played a team this year, dude. I forgot what team, but Omar had like 200.
Dude, he balled. There was a game where he went stupid. It was like
a crazy thing. These guys are going to go. A lot of these guys are going to go in like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, and there's so much talent in the wide receiver class this year.
You got the guy out of Georgia, Zachariah Branch, came from USC. I mean, even
I think the wide receiver class this year is deep, in my opinion, way deeper than it was last year. Way deeper. And like you waited 1 year, if you waited 1 year and you rolled with Tim Patrick 1 year, and listen, this isn't a shot at Isaac Tesla, but you're probably in the same, without having to give up 2/3 or 3/3, you probably get a player just as good, if not better.
But they wouldn't. Well, they would actually, they would have a third. Yeah, because you're right. They would have.
You would have all your draft picks still, and you would have had your third last year still. You would have had the next 2/3, and you would have been able to move around a little bit.
Isaac Tesla could very well be a really good player. He won't be in a big role, obviously. I mean, he's not going to be in a massive role, which is kind of disappointing. But this wide receiver class is there's a lot of players. Even in the first round, there's going to be like Carnell Tate. You got Mekhi Lemon out of USC. He's a really good player. There's Omar Cooper. These guys in the mid rounds as well. Like day 1, even day 2. There's some studs, man. All right. Well, let's get to the Dan Campbell stuff. I feel like the almost hour just flew by talking ball.
Yeah.
Like that was just.
Can I ask you one more question about the combat?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just say, quarterback wise, you named your guy. Is there a chance? I don't know. I don't want to mispronounce his name. Nussmeier.
Garrett Nussmeier. Yeah.
Does he fall? And do the Lions?
He's probably going to fall. He's not a big dude. That's the thing. I remember when I was watching him at LSU, I'm like, this guy's like, he had this, I'm going to use this word. It's going to sound stupid, but he had the aura, he had the passing yards, he had the Heisman hype. And I'm like, I looked him up like 2 years ago when, he's balling, he's put up all these passing yards. And I'm like, the guy's 6'1".
Yeah.
Like you don't really, it is kind of crazy. I think he will fall.
They said that his stock's going up this week.
Yeah.
They said that he's the clear best quarterback at the Senior Bowl this year.
Yeah. Dad's a coach. Like I think an NFL was an NFL coach. Is an NFL coach.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued. I know Lukas put in there. He's with me on Sawyer Robertson, which by the way, like these guys, I'm just talking about if you want to take a developmental guy. I'm not saying these guys are like the franchise, but they should take a swing on someone this year.
That's why if he falls, dude, I would draft Nussmeier. I would.
Mm-hmm.
That would be an incredible. He was supposed to be a day 1 guy. And he ends up just getting hurt, struggling throughout the year.
But anyone else feel like Beck could be be an okay pro?
I thought we actually talked about this last week, didn't we? Because after the national championship, we talked about it, and I said I want to like if you take him in the 5th round, he might 4th round. Someone might get a steal on Carson Beck. He's won everywhere, Jeff. He's literally won everywhere.
Yeah,
he's a winner.
Whenever the thing I always hate. Personally, when talking about quarterbacks coming out is he's a winner. I hate when that's the first thing you
I think that's a fair point though. Like I do think, but JJ but like the thing with Carson Beck, it wasn't like JJ where JJ was just like talented. And he was, but Carson Beck though actually has thrown the ball. And he legit, like you can make the argument like he was a big reason why at Georgia they had a lot of talent, but he was making plays. But then when they went to Miami, they had players, but like Carson Beck won the semifinal game to go to the national championship. Like throughout the year, if you watch Miami, he was helping win games, making plays. He's kind of, I won't say like legit because that sounds like he's a round one guy, but like I'm with Klotz. I am. And much as I hate, like he's got I don't know if we're allowed to say this as like an analyst or whatever you call it. He's got a face that you might want to punch. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that guy. I don't think I like this guy.
Yeah.
But unless you get to know him and you're actually talking to him and you're like a friend with him and like maybe on a more personal connection, you're like, oh, this guy's kind of okay.
Yeah, no, that's a fair statement. I don't think that's
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with Carson Beck. We'll see a lot. I can't wait. The combine is going to be a lot of fun because you'll get to see these quarterbacks throw. Like we'll get to see the Sawyer Robertsons of the world, the Carson Becks of the world, even the even some of the other quarterbacks,
Tyler Shucks of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't let me get honestly. Don't make Carson Beck my Tyler Shuck of the year. I don't want to have to do it, but I might do it. Me and Klotz will be in Lucas Oil Stadium, like the only one in there at 10 p.m. Like we're just watching Carson Beck bombs, like we do with Tyler Shuck.
Think Carson Beck, like he everything I've seen from Carson Beck just leads me to believe he is a giant douche, and I'm not. That's
the face that looking at.
No.
And again,
like actions wise, like I just don't. But maybe him being a douche has nothing to do with what he does on the field. Maybe that's just. Yeah.
Did you know? He didn't have class. Like he got asked about like, hey, how are classes at Miami? He was like, I graduated at Georgia. So by him saying that, it kind of insinuated that he never actually took a class at Miami. So he was literally just basically like a pro football player in college. Like he never was. He didn't have
$3 million.
Yeah, he just didn't have school. So he was just living in Miami, playing football like he was playing for the Dolphins essentially, and just living the lavish life.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of this. It's more common, man. It's basically like pro football, a lot of these guys, which honestly, scouts will get to see how certain quarterbacks deal with money and players in general. You get to see how
for sure. By the way, Klotz said he did say great analysis, Boone. But he said Beck has everything besides mobility. I don't think Beck is like the least mobile quarterback either. Like, guess what? To go to the national championship, what did Carson Beck do? He ran in like a 15-yard touchdown. That was his only rushing touchdown, I think, of the year, or might have been, and like maybe not the only one, but it was very rare. But he did it. Like Jared Goff isn't running it 15 yards for a touchdown. I'm not saying I want him over Jared Goff. Yeah, he was like that.
He was slinging that thing, man. And running around making moves. Yeah, you guys can. I'll just say it's early in the process. You guys can have Carson back, man. I'm probably not.
You did the same thing with Tyler Shuck. You're like, boom, you can have Tyler Shuck. You can have him all you want.
That's not.
He's a franchise guy now.
So what you're saying is Carson Beck is going to be Tyler Shuck.
No, you got to let me wait. I will pick the Booner quarterback of the year. We'll do that later after the combine. But he is in consideration for the 2026 Tyler Shuck award.
That's
he's in the conversation. He is.
Yeah, you guys can have Carson back, man. If I'm wrong,
Garen Nussmeier's in that conversation as well. He's someone who might be able to. We got to wait and see.
All right. Yeah,
By the way, Etienne said Tyler Shuck is way more talented. Agreed. I'm not comparing him to Tyler Shuck. What I'm saying is last year I said everyone said Tyler Shuck sucks. I said Tyler Shuck's going to be a dog. Ends up being a dog. Talented.
This is not the same situation.
No, I'm not saying it, but I'm saying if I'm looking for my next Tyler Shuck, my diamond in the rough quarterback that I found last year.
As your friend, I would strongly advise you maybe find.
But again, I could take your advice, but as a friend, you told me last year to stay away from Tyler. You left the facility last year and said, "I am not watching this guy." You looked me dead in my eyes and goes, "I'm going back to take a nap before we go out and network." I was
wrong on Tyler Shuck. I can't comment on quarterbacks.
No, you can. But you're saying, Boone, as a friend, I'm telling you, don't do Carson Beck. I can't take influence. The only person I think I could take influence from when I pick this next Tyler Shuck quarterback, I think it's Lukas Klotz. Out of anyone. If Caleb Czarnik came up to me and was like, hey, Diego Pavia, he might be your next Tyler Shuck. I'm not taking advice from you. the only person I'll take advice from.
So you're gatekeeping quarterback love.
No, it's not quarterback. Listen, you could say quarterbacks are good. I'm just saying the Booner Tyler Shuck of the Year award.
I hope he wins it. I really do.
He's in consideration. Him and Garrett Nussmeier are the top 2 right now.
No, I'm really rooting for Carson Beck.
He said, "So you're gatekeeping quarterback play." That's so funny, dude.
This guy said only Klotz can speak on, or can what do you call it? What would endorse your quarterback?
Yeah, it's like
you know
what it is.
Klotz did not take Clayton Tune. Are we going to go and look at misses and say Clayton Tune is the next greatest?
Well, no, because that's a fair argument actually. You know,
so it only applies to me basically.
But listen, he won me over by being like, "Boom, you're right with Tyler Shuck last year at the combine." If this year there's a quarterback that I'm like I fall in love with, and you're like, you look at me and go, "Boom," next year you get it. I'm essentially what I'm doing is I'm building my own. What is it? What is the college football? I'm building my own Booner quarterback committee. You know what I mean? It's like the college football playoff committee. I'm building my own. And Klotz was the first one on the committee. And the committee could end up being bad, just like the college football playoffs.
That's fair.
I've got a bloody situation over here. I'm bleeding. All right, we're good.
Klotz, you know what? Congratulations.
I want you to be on the board, dude. I would love you to be a.
I'm going to pass on the
committee. Well, no, you can't. The problem is it's one of those committees to where if you get in, like you can't pass. You're in.
No, I have a choice. I have to have a choice.
No. If you're a part of, if you're a part of the community, like it's like Klotz can't be like, I don't want to be in it. He's in it.
Damn. Well, hey, shout out to Klotz, man. He said I'm honored. Oh, that's funny.
Cripple Boy said quarterback cult. And it's not even a real quarterback cult. It's like for like a low level quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, trying to find a stud.
Trying to find a day 2 stud.
The draft is trying to find a sleeper in the draft. I mean, that's what everyone seeks to do it. We literally had Klotz on last year every week to do our sleepers.
We need to again this year. We need to do like Tuesdays or something with Klotz. Tuesday sleepers or something with Lukas Klotz. Yeah. I would love that.
Yeah, we'll get Klotz back in here to break some ball down. He's always on point with that. All right, we're going to be joined by Sam in a second here. I might as well just talk to Sam about what we're going to get into. We might as well just have Sam join us because we can ask Sam about the Dan Campbell stuff as well because that's one of the topics we were going to talk about. So we'll be joined by the former host of the Morning Woodward Show and Wake Up Woodward, our good friend Flannel Sam joins us every single week. Please welcome him to the show. How we doing, Sam? Oh, wait, you're muted, Sam.
There you go.
There we go.
Shit, I'm sorry about that. It's kind of sad that a draft show has to be done and it's not even February, but you guys are doing a great job breaking it down. I mean, I haven't quite transitioned to Senior Bowl yet, but that's why, I'm learning from you fellas as I join you fellas on the show. So it's just a perfect relationship we got going.
Let's go, Flannel.
Yeah, Flannel. It's we got nothing else better to do, man. It's what happens when your team misses the playoffs. You have all the time in the world to cover the draft, the Senior Bowl, talk free agency. Fred Warner's over here talking how Dan Campbell practices too hard. We got all these things we want to get to with you. So it's
Flannel. Would you like a second round quarterback?
I don't know about second round. It's funny because I heard you guys mention Carson Beck and Garrett Nussmeier, both guys who at one point were really highly touted. I mean, at one point, I think going into the 2024 college football season, they were talking about Carson Beck as potentially like a number 1 overall pick. Yeah. So obviously, and Garrett Nussmeier, another one who was at one time highly touted. So yeah, there's something intriguing about that. How to where did their talent just go away or were they overhyped in the beginning? It's intriguing. But for me, I listened to the doc yesterday. If I'm going for that draft a quarterback every year thing, which I know you're for Booner, and I don't hate that, by the way, this year I'd be looking more at in the later rounds, Jalen Daniels or Luke Altmaier, because like Doc said, I want somebody who's a little bit more mobile, and that's Garrett Nussmeier is a statue, and Carson Beck isn't that mobile either. So I'd rather have somebody a little bit more mobile, and it's not to replace Goff, obviously. It's akin to what they did back with Brad Kaya, if you guys remember that. Just somebody who a lottery pick, maybe a project, just in case.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, Flannel. I mean, I'll play this clip because we'll get into the Dan Campbell, Fred Warner stuff. I also have this clip I want to play. Fred Warner talking about Jack Campbell, which we'll play. But here's Fred Warner talking about a little over a minute. Him talking about the Lions practices, because we're going to get into how Dan Campbell is ranked number 1 of head coaching hires since 2021. So here's Fred Warner on the Lions practices.
Okay, 49er injured stars. Look at that.
Bro, I feel like
Man,
we've
we
had
got
hella
some
injuries
boy.
too. Like the Lions have hella injuries every year too. I'm like, fuck.
Y'all go hard. That's,
Yeah.
You know, old Dan Campbell be over there telling y'all to bite kneecaps. So at some point, you going, you know.
Wait, so do you guys go full tackle in camp?
No, we would never do that.
See, nah,
I
we
need-
going live.
See,
Yeah.
and at some point,
Like,
Dan gonna come to his senses, man, and be like, "Listen, this ain't making nobody better, brother. All right, we can still get our work in without bringing guys to the ground."
Yeah, I think, bro. Every time when new players come to our team, they look at me, look at us during practice. They be in the locker room like, "Y'all practice like this all the time."
Dog.
I just be like, "Yeah, this is all I know, bro." Like, this is
Yeah,
what we do.
yeah. I think
That's crazy.
I get the mindset that he's trying to instill in y'all, but because he's obviously saying you can't become better at tackling unless you practice tackling, right? Like I'm
Right.
sure that's the mindset, but I mean, tackling is about just getting all the way there, wrapping a guy up, thudding a guy up, wrapping him, and then you just don't got to do the extra, bring him to the ground, right? And like half the time, guys are just in desperation trying to get somebody on the ground, where you're putting yourself and the person who you're tackling at risk, right? Then that's improper tackling technique. But if you're doing it correctly, you can be in a position where you can tackle and be like, okay, I ain't bring you all the way to the ground, right? So
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
that's facts.
Yeah. So
Hey, that's interesting.
I'll say this about
We've just lost Flannel completely. Flannel was tired. He was like, I don't want to hear this stuff.
Oh, we'll get Flannel back on. But I think it's ironic that he's talking about injuries, and the 49ers are one of the more injured teams and they don't tackle. So it's like, oh, there we go. We got Flannel.
Yeah.
So isn't that ironic? It's like, well, if you tackle, listen, I understand. Like, there's some things I do agree with what Fred was saying. Like, you don't have to tackle all the time. I mean, the Lions have suffered a lot of injuries. I don't know if that's correlated, but the 49ers have suffered a lot of injuries and they don't even tackle all the time.
I do think though, I don't know where you guys, I do agree with Fred Warner though. Like I do. It's a little over the top. And like
sure.
the Lions in the last like 3 or 4 years are the most injured team in the NFL, and like by a lot, and it's a fact. And it's like, all right, well, let's diagnose the problem. What's the problem? Oh, what's the issue that everyone keeps saying? Oh, well, every single player that comes from the outside in is like, oh my gosh, like this is like high school football practice again. Like you were going like balls to the wall, 100% playing football every practice, every training camp practice, every single week practice, like. You can't, like, it's just not like you guys are going to get hurt. And eventually, like, even if they don't get hurt in the moment, your body it's 17 weeks of football. It's like 8 months of football. It's not like 2 months. Eventually your body's going to be like, hey dude, I'm about to break right now. And then you keep getting hit and it's like, oh, body breaks. So I think Dan, I like the Dan Campbell mentality. You guys know me. I love Dan Campbell. He's my number one person in the world. He's got to. We got to step back a little bit. We can't be the most injured team in the NFL. We can't. You got to figure out ways to not have that happen.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny because like you guys mentioned, I'm not sure if Fred Warner is necessarily the best messenger because obviously he missed most of this season with an injury. The 49ers, I think, have actually been even more injured than the Lions have been in these last couple of seasons. But at the same time, if you're one of those slappies who we deal with on a daily basis, who basically blames a very large portion of the last 2 seasons due to injuries, you have to love that Fred Warner is actually bringing up a suggestion, no matter who the messenger is. And quite frankly, why not try something a little bit different? Because I'm not one who blames the last 2 seasons on injuries, but I also think that they certainly capped what the ceilings of both teams could have been. And if there's a way to try to change some practice habits and maybe don't go as hard in tackling drills or whatnot, it's just something worth trying, because the last couple of years, even if ultimately it is just bad luck and randomness, it's something worth to try. Like, don't we all want to see the Lions a lot more healthy next year? Don't we all think that that could help the Lions eventually reach the goal of winning a Super Bowl? Because at the end of the day, injuries, they shouldn't keep you from the playoffs this year, or in the case of last year, winning a home divisional round game against the Commanders. But what they will do is they'll prevent you from winning the Super Bowl. And we saw a team like the 49ers, for example, it really limited what they could do. It limited what the Lions could do last year. So yeah, even if the messenger isn't the most perfect person like Fred Warner, I don't hate the message. And a lot of the Lions slappies should love this, honestly.
Yeah, it actually supports. I mean, if you're so concerned about the injuries all the time, to your point, Flannel, why not change things in practice? I mean, speaking of the messenger, he did.
Do you not think so, Jeff? Like,
no, I think it's fine. I was ironic that it doesn't. I don't think it's the end all be all. I'm not saying you don't try it.
I think it changes a little bit. Like I would. My guess would be maybe you could I'm not a guy that blames the injuries. You guys know that. Like I think you should win no matter what. I've been in arguments on Twitter with people about that. But like, if you could cut down the injuries, like, hey, 10%, as many injuries as you have the most. Yeah. If you have the most injuries in the NFL the last 3 or 4 years, like by a significant amount. If you can cut that down by 10%, then you kind of catch back up to the rest of the league with the amount of injuries. If you can cut it down by 10% by practicing a little different and changing that up a little, like, you should do it. And then, dude, Amon Ra's talking about it. Like, Amon Ra isn't like standing up for Dan being like, I love it. Like, no, we love. Like, Amon Ra clearly has an issue with it, and it's like, yeah, like, this is like, it's kind of insane. So like the players in the building as well, you could tell maybe have a little bit of a pushback on it.
Well, I understand too, because I understand when Dan first got here to change the culture. But now that we're in year, we're going into like your 6th year. It's like, Don't
want them to get soft though, huh, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm like, I think these guys probably understand the grit mentality. Well, obviously last year they didn't, but for the most part, it's like Amon Ra, like those guys have been pretty seasoned. I mean, I don't know if now you still need to go full out tackling every practice, but I do agree with that. I did look up where the Lions were in missed tackles because they work on tackling so much. They're third. And they have the third least missed tackles, so
they would have the third least no matter what. I bet.
Well, I'm just bringing up a.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Flannel, what's going on in the chat with Jason Hansen?
Oh,
is this at you, or is this just, are people in the? Is this towards you, or am I read it? It's Klotz. Klotz is out here putting. Am I missing something?
Well. Yeah, because I remember there was this movement back at Woodward at one point. I think it was Ryan Armani who started it. That was like, Jason Hansen. It's an absolute travesty that Jason Hansen's number isn't retired in Detroit or whatnot. And I think on another show, I was like, he was a kicker on a team that never won anything. I'm not saying that it's his fault, but when you're a kicker on a losing team, I'm sorry, you don't get to have the iconic moments that, say, Adam Vinatieri did, or Harrison Butker has. Butker. It's not a shot. It's just that people act like he should be revered as like a Lions all-time great, and some even say Hall of Fame, and I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely.
I actually disagree with you. I think he should. He's the leading scorer in Lions history, and he did it for 20 years.
The leading scorer in every franchise's history is a kicker, though. But
it's about respect Like, if you're there for 20 years and you're the kicker and you're one of the greatest to ever do it.
You can't really. And again, this isn't his fault, but it's part of the position that he plays. You can name a plethora of.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Should Calvin Johnson be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, Calvin Johnson's a wide receiver, and
no. But again, though, to your point, Calvin Johnson didn't make any plays in the Super Bowl or win anything. He was on a bad team.
Football players, dude.
So kickers aren't. So when a kicker kicks, so kickers don't affect the game. They don't put points on the board.
Kickers do affect the game, probably more.
So okay, so he's a football player then, right? He puts pads on.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, that's easy.
it's not something that I'm going to die on the hill about. I'm just kind of explaining. Like, Booner, if you want to take this win over me, you can. I just think this
I
obsession
feel bad now.
with Hansen is a little bit
I mean,
insane.
Jason Hansen's like on my all-time favorite line.
You know what's the interesting stat here with Jason Hansen, dude? He's 17 for 19 in game-winning field goals in the fourth quarter overtime. I mean, dude,
that's incredible. He did his job, right?
He
like
technically won 17 games just off game winners.
All right.
He won that's a whole season of football. He won a whole season. He won strictly off his leg.
I wish more of those game winners came in the same season. Obviously they didn't, but fine. If you guys want to take this victory over me, that's fine. It's not something I'm gonna die over the hill about. He's a damn good kicker.
He is, yeah, no. He's one of my favorites. I thought it was funny. I saw in the chat people arguing about Jason Hansen. I saw Flannel. I'm like, what's going on with Flannel and Jason Hansen? I was like, did I miss something?
Nah, it's all good. It's all good.
Flannel, I wanted to get your thoughts on this list. So this is ESPN put out this list ranking every head coach, head coaching, I guess, job or whatever, just their tenure since 2021. And number 1 on the list is Dan Campbell. Number 2 on the list, we'll go through just the top 5. Nick Sirianni's number 2. 3 is Mike McDonald for 2 seasons. And then number 4, Mike Vrabel in 1 season. And then number 5 is DeMeco Ryans. And then who's number 6? Sean Payton. So that's the top. Did they get it right, Flannel? Dan Campbell, number 1 coaching job since 2021. What are we thinking? Over Nick Sirianni?
Coaching hire, right?
Coaching hire, yeah.
I do not believe that they got it right. I think Nick Sirianni should be number 1. And I know a lot of Eagles fans want him fired. And a lot of people, especially prior to last year, thought he was a joke and not a good head coach. But the reality is that Nick Sirianni, like Dan Campbell, is more of a CEO type head coach who obviously has some trouble with his emotions. But one of his number 1 things that you got to do as a CEO coach is you have to delegate, hire the right people around you. And in 2024, with the coordinator hires of Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, Nick Sirianni pretty much hit a grand slam home run. And you even go back to Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen back when they got to the Super Bowl. I think they both came in a 2021. So I think Sirianni, with what he's accomplished, winning a Super Bowl and getting more of his coordinator hires right, even if he doesn't appear to be as good of a leader as, say, Dan Campbell, the results are the results. And at the end of the day, Dan Campbell hasn't won the Lions a Super Bowl yet, and he's failed on more coordinator hires than Nick Sirianni has. That's just facts. You can't argue that.
Yeah. I'm kind of with. I think Nick Sirianni should be 1. If you win a Super Bowl, you're like, hey, how are we ranking hires? I would probably rank the guy, if you hired a coach that took you and won a Super Bowl. Like if Dan's number 2,
he's been to 2 too.
He's been to 2. He's won 1. I mean, if they had Dan at number 2, I think you can make the argument with Dan. He's turned like one of the worst franchises around, and he took you to an NFC Championship game. He's won back-to-back NFC Norths at one point. And, he did all these things that no coach with the Lions have been able to do since the 90s. I think that's respectable, and I think he should be automatically top 5 just based off of what he's done. I think that obviously the 9-8 year discredits it, but it takes a little bit away. You're like, oh, that's a bad year. But I think based off of his track record, the last 3 or 4 years, you can throw him in the top 5. Even if you want to have him at 2, I'm not mad. I think in my opinion, just the coach that won a Super Bowl, because there was really no one else in there that's won one, obviously because of Andy Reid. But I think Nick Sirianni has to be number 1. And then depending on what happens tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but in a couple weeks, you maybe want to put Mike Vrabel at number 2 if he wins it, or Mike McDonald because he wins it. But I think that's the only argument is like in my opinion, I do think there's a lot of weight to be held when it comes to Dan Campbell taking over the franchise that he did doing what he did.
Yeah, and him being at number 2 on this list, I think is fine. However, when it comes to the pantheon of head coaches, I think either Mike McDonald or Mike Vrabel automatically passes him on Super Bowl Sunday. And that's okay, by the way. This isn't a shot at Dan whatsoever. It's just that Super Bowls hold a lot of weight, and it just is what it is. And we can all agree that the coaching jobs that Mike McDonald and Mike Vrabel have done have been nothing short of phenomenal.
Yeah, and the thing, like I know Michael just put, did Howie Roseman win that Super Bowl or did Sirianni? Like we
They
can't.
both
do that.
did.
Well,
They
I was
both
gonna say,
did.
you can't do that because Dan has Brad Holmes. So if we're gonna
Yeah.
do that, like, and in the so every, I mean,
So
you
you're
need to-
discrediting Brad Holmes at that point. Like
Well, that's
it
the
goes
thing. All
every
these
way.
or you're discrediting Dan because he has Brad
Yeah.
Holmes. Like, no, I
Yep.
mean, you can't do that. And on top of that, they mentioned in the article that Nick Sirianni's had like coordinators that have become head coaches. It's like, well, Ben
I think
Johnson,
Sirianni is a scapegoat a lot of the time. I think Sirianni is a very good coach. I've said that for years now. Like, I really do like Nick Sirianni. He wins a lot, and you could be like, yeah, his roster, whatever. Like, no, Nick Sirianni is a heck of a coach, and he's ran into some issues. And I mean, if you want to honestly, like, if we do it like that, like, well, was it Howie Roseman that's won him? All right, well, is it Howie Roseman's fault that he's put together the roster he has that has all these issues all of a sudden because he's gotten guys who like just don't want to be good teammates? Is that Nick? That you could blame that on Nick Sirianni too, or Nick Sirianni, or Howie Roseman? I'm sorry, or Howie Roseman.
I think
too.
Nick
Like, you can blame it on
Sirianni
both.
has his concerns. Like I think it's there. People are starting to get a little pissed off at him, but that just goes to show how high the expectations are in Philly, and he's kind of lived up to them. I know, like he's not a guru on offense to where he's calling plays or. He's not like that type of head coach, but they just find ways to win games. I don't know, even if it doesn't look pretty, they just find ways to win games. And I know they have a great roster, but like, would I put Sirianni in my top 5 head coaches? Like if I had a franchise and I needed a head coach, like there's other guys I would choose, but he's still a really good, like if we're talking about impactful, like since 2021, like, yeah, 2 Super Bowls, you win one, you know what I'm saying? Like, they've been to the playoffs every year, right? If I'm not mistaken, every single year he's been there.
Every single year, even since
like
2021, every single year. And that's and
can't
like
do
I
that.
said, when you're a CEO coach, who you hire, who you delegate to matters, and whether you like it or not. And I know a lot of people just have these preconceived notions about Nick Sirianni. His hiring and firing, like his coordinator decisions and the usage of said coordinators has been better and more consistent than Dan Campbell. And quite honestly, Dan Campbell, that's a question mark about him right now, quite frankly. And when it comes to Nick Sirianni, I know that 2023 wasn't great, and I know Kevin Patullo wasn't great either, but his hits have resulted in Super Bowl appearances and a win, and that just is what it is. Results matter. What you think doesn't matter as much as what you see on the field.
Well, speaking of what you see on the field, the Jets, where's Aaron Glenn on here? Because what you saw on the field was poo-poo. And he's ranked on this list. Will you guys already see this list?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just put it up here. He's ranked 29th.
I on this list too, like Aaron Glenn 29th. Can you move up and just show like 28 to 20?
Brian Callahan.
He's behind Brian Callahan, who's been fired.
Mayo.
Fired.
Jonathan Gannon.
Fired.
Matt Eberflus.
Fired.
Raheem Morris.
Fired.
Dennis Allen.
Fired.
Arthur Smith.
Fired.
Brian Schottenheimer, not fired.
Not fired, but weird first year.
Is there anyone else that was fired? Brandon Staley.
Fired.
Dave Canales, not fired. Brian
Good.
Daboll.
Fired.
Let's see who else. Shane Steichen, not Doug Peterson.
Fired. Doug was.
Robert
I like
Saleh,
that.
fired.
Fired.
Mike McDaniel.
Fired.
And then you got Todd Bowles almost fired, and I think that's about where it ends. Yeah. So
Dan Quinn, shout out Dan Quinn, man.
Yeah,
I just think it's funny. They're just like the fact that like, I mean,
Pierce right behind him. Holy hell!
He's in the same category as Antonio Pierce right now. It's just not.
And Pete Carroll and Josh McDaniels. Oh God,
It's tough to be that low. And Ben Johnson's like top 8. I think he was like 6 or 7.
Yep.
Yeah, that's he ain't gonna last very long in there, man. It says AG's worse than Saleh. Yeah, I mean, because
for sure.
Yeah,
Saleh was bad. I don't think Saleh was bad. It didn't work out in the end, but yeah.
AG actually took over the almost identical roster, and he was just instantly like he had the defense. They had the same defense, maybe added some pieces, and they were even worse.
Yeah, they lost DJ Reed, but they still had Sauce and Quinnen Williams to start the year. Quincy Williams. And they traded them, but like before that, they were ass. I mean, they were bad with them. So, yeah, it was It's been a disaster over there. Before we get to the Kafka stuff, because I want to ask you about Kafka and talk more about the Drew Petzing, the offensive staff, what's going on with the defensive staff. I do have this video of Fred Warner talking about Jack Campbell's, and I want to play it. So here's that.
It was crazy, but
Oh,
it was
funny.
fun. I'll never forget it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who are your top 5 backers right now in the NFL? No order.
Top 5 backers right now. Oof. I mean, there's a lot of guys this season that put on. I always say ball production means a lot to me. If you're affecting the game, ball production. I think Devin Lloyd and Ernest Jones had the most interceptions out of any linebacker this year, so they're definitely in that 5. Your boy Jack had a great year.
What are your thoughts on Jack, my dog?
Oh, fantastic, bro! Great player. I think he had a lot of hype around him when he was coming out of the draft, right? Like out of Iowa, big dude.
Yeah, tall dude, a tall linebacker. Yeah,
he like 6'5", isn't he?
Nah, he's like 6. I would say 6'3", almost 6'4", probably.
Oh, okay. Everybody over here talking like he's 6'5", but
nah, he's not 6'5".
He for how big he is, bro. He moves really well. Plays the run game outstanding. I think he's gotten way better in his pass coverage, affected blitzing. He affected the ball this year, so I think he had a great year, bro. He fully deserved All-Pro.
Right.
So them 3. I know Jordan Brooks had a ton of tackles, and he popped off the tape when I was watching the Dolphins a little bit. Zach Bond's always steady Eddie. Me and Roquan have been going at it for the last few years. So those are kind of like the main guys, and I always throw Landman in there, man, because he is sleep.
Hey, Landman,
dude. He did, dude. What a name to drop, the Landman, just out of nowhere,
dude. And by the way, like what I agree with him when it comes to when you look at like linebackers, like tackles. I know you bring up tackles a lot, which are the most like one of the more important things for a linebacker. You got to get tackles. Jack's like one of the best, if not the best, at tackling guys. But what I like about Jack, what he was able to do more this year, that's what I've been looking for with Jack is ball production, which he hasn't had an interception, but forcing fumbles, he's getting sacks, he's stacking things on top of tackles. Like that's what I think that the greats can do. Like Fred Warner, he's always been good. He'll get you a couple forced fumbles, couple interceptions, a sack or two, and have a bunch of tackles to go with it. Like I think that's where Jack's game is starting to cut. He's already there. I mean, he's an All-Pro this year. And I think it's only a matter of time before he gets into the realm where he's getting like a pick or 2 a year, which I think to sprinkle on top of what he can do elsewhere, like he's going to be a multi-time All-Pro, like based on where he's already at, where he's continuing to head. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah, no, Jack Campbell, he 100% deserves the love that Fred Warner has given him. I think right now he's comfortably a top 5 linebacker in the NFL. He mentioned himself. I really like Devin Lloyd. He had himself a hell of a year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that defense, especially the way that they were able to stop the run, my goodness. But Jack Campbell, to just focus more on him, he has improved every single year to where he's more of a complete linebacker. He's getting sacks. He's getting better in coverage. Was the best defensive player for the Lions this year. The one person whose all of his production and all of his numbers, that was real. That was impact. He was the one player that I didn't have to worry about week in, week out being solid to great. And he was rightfully rewarded with an All-Pro. So there's nothing bad that I can say about Jack Campbell. He was one of the best Lions this year. Technically one of the 4 best because he was one of the 4 All-Pros.
Yeah, I think there was an argument to be made that this year he was the number 1 linebacker with no Fred Warner. Like I think there's a really good argument to be made. I know a lot of people would be like, well, if Fred was playing, Jack wouldn't. No, like Jack would have been on first team All-Pro with or without Fred Warner playing football this year. I think he was that good. Like he affected the game at such a high level and a defense that was ranked towards the bottom half of the NFL, the second half of the back half of the NFL. Dude, like he dominated, and he was like very, very clear that he was one of the best at what he does. The only thing, I mean, you can argue with like Jack and push back a little bit is in coverage. Maybe he can get a little better, but like that's really what you had Anzo for this last year. You know what I mean? Like you didn't really need Jack to do like at times, yes. But Anzo was kind of your coverage guy, and you're letting Jack get to the quarterback. You're letting him, stop the run. It felt like every time we watched any sort of tackle on this Lions team, it was like, who's in there? Oh, number 46 again. And it was like every single time. And as bad as the defensive line was at times this year, stopping the run, which is usually they're good at, Jack was always there to clean it up and had their back. Like those guys, honestly, they should buy Jack like a car or something. Like they should get him a gift. Like Jack Campbell probably stopped so many teams. Like Kelvin Shepherd should give him like half of his salary because Jack Campbell probably stopped like double of the yardage from happening for how bad this defense was. Honestly, if you think about it that way, like if you don't have Jack Campbell, this defense is probably ranked 32nd in every category.
Okay, that's slow down.
I mean, am I crazy? Dude, dude, that defensive line had so many holes in it, and it was like the only person who plugged those holes.
That's with your guy Aiden, man, Sam. That's with your guy Aiden. He's saying last in the league, every category.
No,
feels like it would have been.
Okay, but 32 in every category. I get what you're saying though, and
it was an exaggeration a little bit.
Yeah, because I said what you said. Consistently, the most impactful and valuable player on the defense this year, even above Aiden Hutchinson, who I'm not gonna poo-poo his year. He still had a great year, but Jack Campbell, the numbers, the impact, the improvement, that was all real. That was all consistent. And with Aiden, not to discredit him, there were some games where he just didn't make that much of an impact. Some of that had to do with the fact that in a lot of those games, AQM or anybody else wasn't doing anything either. But with Jack Campbell, he was just very consistent, productive, impactful. He was great, deserved all pro.
Yeah, I want to ask you about Mike Kafka and the addition there. We'll come back from break and talk about it. So we'll see you guys in a minute. Got to hear from our sponsor, proud sponsor of the show, Sleeper. So we'll see you in a minute. I've interrupted the video to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper in the new promotion they have going on. A brand new promotion is now live on Sleeper that could be paired with the 100% deposit match promotion that's already been going on. It's a free $20, no deposit required, plus first-time users will also receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Use the code CT Sports. You guys should already be using Sleeper. It's one of the fastest organically growing fantasy platforms in the entire world with millions and millions of active users. They are crushing it. And if your state allows it, you should be using Sleeper Picks. It's a real money product that connects friends over picks. You just choose 2 to 8 of your favorite players from pregame live or across different sports. Pick more or less than the predicted stats. And on Sleeper, you can get up to 1,000x payouts. Share with your friends. Get rewarded together. Don't forget, code CT Sports. Get a $100 deposit up to $100, and you got your free $20 entry. Sleeper is taking care of their customers. Always remember, gamble responsibly. Now let's get back to the video. Flannel, Mike Kafka was added to the staff, bolstering this offensive staff. He had Drew Petzing last week. We talked to you about with you about it, and people, including us here on the show initially, were like, "What the hell?" But you start to understand the kind of the fit there and what they like with Drew Petzing. They interviewed Mike Kafka. He's interviewed for a bunch of head coaching jobs. He's interviewed for a lot of OC positions. Worked with your guy Mahomes, pass game coordinator when Mahomes won MVP. And he was having some great years over there offensively when they had Tyreek Hill and all those weapons. And he chose to join the Lions, not in an OC role, but in a high-ranking offensive role, which I think speaks volumes to what the Lions have to offer. Because Mike Kafka, you look at the Eagles. They had to go find an OC. They just had to hire the Packers quarterback coach, which, by the way, he could be a bright guy. But no one wanted the job because of all the drama and the culture, even though they have talent. And then you have the Lions that can kind of stockpile some OCs, which I think is good. More guys in the room that can help on the offense is always a good thing. But I want to get your thoughts on the addition of Mike Kafka. What kind of impact do you think he'll have on this offense?
Yeah, I think obviously when you look at it on what the Lions are intending to do, I think you look at Drew Petzing and you see that he has, in terms of his resume and what he did in Arizona, he has some chops when it comes to the run game. We all know in 2023, they were 4th in rushing yards per game with the Cardinals. 2024, they were 7th. James Conner really took off and had the best seasons of his career. I believe his only 2,000-yard seasons. You had a guy like Amari DiMercato in his 3 seasons with Drew Petzing. Kind of an anomalous, weird stat. 126 career carries and 6.5 yards per carry. That's insane, but that just speaks to they were.
Is he the guy who dropped the ball before he crossed the goal line? Is that
that was obviously a bad moment, and Jonathan Gannon really let him have it with his fist. But yeah, Amari DiMercato, that just shows that they were probably using some specific plays and packages to get Amari DiMercato doing what he does best, because 6.5 yards per carry is insane. I like what he did in 2023 using Rondale Moore in the run game, which you look at JMO. So yeah, Drew Petzing, kind of his specialty is the run game. And obviously he's going to be El Capitano and play caller and OC, but bringing a guy like Mike Kafka, and this is, there could be some drawbacks. This is what I kind of see their vision is. He's a guy whose expertise is more with the passing game and quarterbacks. He was a college quarterback at Northwestern, had a cup of coffee with the Eagles, I believe, in the early 2010s, was Patrick Mahomes' quarterback coach from 2018 to 2021, which is a really nice feather in your cap, no matter what he did in terms of resume. And I think with the Giants, he did some nice things. The offense that him and Brian Daboll were able to put together in 2022, which led the Giants to the playoffs and kind of utilized Daniel Jones's skill set more, using his legs, shorter, safe passes, while Saquon dominated. That was impressive. I think in 2025, when Mike Kafka got even more involved and was the OC and then became interim head coach, I really liked what I saw from Jackson Dart. I thought he developed and was the best rookie quarterback in the NFL. You saw that their offense was able to put up some numbers and keep a lot of teams, really put a scare into the Bears and the Broncos and the Lions, quite frankly. You saw even at the beginning, Russell Wilson had a damn good game at Dallas. You saw Jameis Winston, obviously, at Ford Field. And obviously, when he was there with Daboll, we don't know all that he was able to do. But when he was given the reins, they also had a couple of really nice offensive games at the end of the year, even though that didn't really mean a whole lot. Obviously, there was some concerns. I don't like how Daniel Jones looked in 2023 and in 2024. That was a little bit concerning. But at the same time, I think what Daniel Jones is and what he's going to prove to be is obviously he benefits from good offensive coaching, but he also benefits from a super talented running back having a dominant season. You had that in 2022 with Saquon. You had that in 2025 with Jonathan Taylor. Him and Jonathan Taylor were really good together. 2023, Saquon was ineffective. 2024, Saquon was not there. So the Daniel Jones not being great in 2023, 2024, I can give Kafka a little bit of a pass for that. So in summary, it's like Drew Petzing's got the play calling and he can bring some things in the run game. Mike Kafka, in whatever role they decide for him to use, can bring what he knows with quarterbacks in the pass game. Dan Campbell is also a guy who's called plays and is more of an offensive guy. So you've got, in a perfect world, a little bit of a nice team there of all experienced offensive guys, experienced play callers with some success, not a ton, but some success. But I think the things maybe that you could worry about is, does it turn into egos, too many cooks in the kitchen? That's where Dan Campbell has to be more definitive and direct with his leadership and what roles everybody has. Because at the end of the day, I think the Kafka hiring makes me feel better about Drew Petzing, and I hope that it works out the way that the Lions intend it to. And what I said was what I think the Lions intend it to be, as Mike Kafka bringing his passing expertise, his quarterback expertise, to an offensive coordinator who's got a bit of an expertise in the run game.
Yeah, I talked about it on Lions Collective with some of the Lions beat writers, and I think a great point they made is, even though Drew Petzing was the best man in Ben Johnson's wedding, I think on top just with the Mike Kafka hire and what they're trying to do moving forward, unlike what they did with John Morton, is they're just getting away from this Ben Johnson thing. Like you could tell the John Morton hire was them just trying to mimic Ben Johnson. They were just trying to find someone who had was in the room when the offense was created, and they were like trying to get this Ben Johnson offense recreated. It just isn't going to work. Like, just go find someone that you believe can run what you want to run and have the identity you want to have. That, like, unlike John Morton, was in the room when Ben was creating the offense. Drew Petzing wasn't. Like, Drew Petzing has his own identity, what he wants to do. He's had other guys, other coaches that have inspired him. So I do like that. Mike Kafka is a completely outside hire that comes in with new ideas, fresh ideas. So I like it. I think the thing that me and Booner talked about this week, which, I'm still concerned about, is they're adding all this juice on the offensive coaching staff. What's going on with the defensive coaching staff? What the hell? I mean, where's the Mike Kafka for Kelvin Shepard? That's what I'm looking for.
And I heard you guys talk about that yesterday and with the doc. And I think when it comes to Kelvin Shepherd, you look at, and I understand year 2, there can be some improvement for sure, but I think you could even, and I know this sounds harsh to some people, you could even look at other options for the defensive coordinator. Raheem Morris is out there. Jim Schwartz, I think, is leaving Cleveland. What about Sean McDermott? I know Sean McDermott has said he's taken a year off, but hey, offer him a bag, call him in, just make the phone call. I get what you're saying, though, because it does seem like with the offense, even though it wasn't up to Lions par, they're making all kinds of changes with it. John Morton fired. You're bringing in a couple of guys who are proven OCs and play callers into the room. But the defense, it's just like, we're going to run it all back. And I'm not saying everything about the defense was bad last year. They had some good games. They had some good moments, but you look at that 3-game losing streak that really sunk their season. What happened to their run defense? You look at the games against the Packers where they had no sacks or pressure on Jordan Love, couldn't get any pressure on Jameis Winston, couldn't get any pressure on Aaron Rodgers, couldn't get any pressure on Matthew Stafford. Those are really what sunk this season, along with some offensive struggles as well. But yeah, the fact that the defense, it's just like we're running, bringing the band back together. That can't be how this offseason goes, right? Or can it?
Yeah, they need someone that could bring in. I mean, I brought this up yesterday too. They've had a defensive assistant or a high-ranking defensive guy every year, but last year, like, they had Capers, Fox, like these guys that are 60, 70 years old that can just be like a soundboard. Not saying that necessarily helped all the time with their defense. I know they had their problems throughout AG's tenure as well. I mean, they haven't really had, in terms of yards given up on defense, they haven't been above like 18th, 19th.
No.
Which like just isn't good enough. I mean, that's not just Calvin, that's with AG. And I know they had part of the last year where they were beginning of the year, they were top 10 in a lot of categories. But again, this isn't a 9-game season. It's a 17-game season, and through 17 games, they were still not above like 19. I think that was their best year with AG, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been this year. Regardless, they haven't been like a top 10. Like the Seahawks and the Patriots are both top 10 in yards given up on defense, least amount of yards given up. Like you got to prevent yards at some point. I mean, it's like we only could be a bend don't break defense and for so long until you just break. I mean, it happens. We see it every year. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just how it is.
And I brought this up with you last week that all of the teams in the Final Four this year were top 10 scoring defenses. We know what the Patriots and the Seahawks did this year defensively. 10 out of the last 12 Super Bowl winners have had top 10 scoring defenses in terms of points allowed per game. And I'm sure with yards, it's pretty damn similar. And with the Lions, you just haven't seen it throughout a full season. In my opinion, just off of watching, I think the closest they came was last year if they would have been healthier. I think Aaron Glenn has something to do with that, by the way. This season, yeah, there were moments. We've talked about it. Thought the defense looked really impressive in that Buccaneers game with the Legion of Whom. I thought they did a really good job on the Eagles, but there were too many games, especially at the end of the year, where they basically undid damn near all of that and really played a big role in sinking their season.
Yeah, I remember Jeff Teague just put it, or not Jeff Teague, Shift. He said, I've seen people saying this defense will be 2,000 Ravens. Well, I don't know about that, but we did have a conversation before the season, what will rank higher, offense or defense? Meaning we thought the offense would regress to be like a top 10 offense. And we were saying, like, could the defense be top 8? Like something like that. Oh, boy, we were wrong. I mean, at least for a couple games, it looked good.
Yeah.
I mean, and the Bucs game, like, I'm glad Steve Lehman put that in there. Like, the Bucs game, they literally had no running backs and one wide receiver.
No, that's fair.
And they fired their OC after the year.
No, I get it. I'm just, the Lions were really banged up too that day. But I think at the end of the day, it was close-ish to a fair fight. Although if you want to say the Bucs were losing.
You know what? That's fair. I'll give you that.
But at the end of the day,
they did have the Legion of Whom. They did have
if you want to say that the Bucs were missing more production, I'm not going to fight you on that. The point is that there were moments throughout this season where I think the defense looked promising and looked like it was going to be good enough. And then just eventually the floodgates opened. And obviously we know what they did in the first game against the Pack. I mean, that's ultimately what really sunk their season, is how they played against the Green Bay Packers. You win one. I know one of them was early and one of them was late, but the defense against that team was just horrendous. And the offense wasn't great either, quite frankly, especially the first game.
No, no, not at all. I mean, I think, you know, I'm interested to see. My biggest thing is if David Montgomery comes back, I would like to see him back. And I wonder if, you know, Drew Petzing, like you kind of pointed out, his specialty in the run game and what he wants to do, he probably would love a guy like David Montgomery to stick around. You know, I think that's probably, I know Brad Holmes spoke about Drew Petzing and basically said, hey, it's his offense. It's whatever he wants. But I think the biggest thing going into the season is, you know, you have a lot of questions with some starters. I mean, on offense, it's like, well, is Taylor Decker retiring or is he coming back? What is David Montgomery going to do? Is he going to stay in Detroit? We were talking about this earlier too, the Jameson Williams stuff. Because Jameson, I'll say this, Scotty Montgomery, he's done a really good job. Scotty Montgomery, I know, you know, he hasn't probably gotten the respect in terms of like being an offensive coordinator. I don't think the Lions could afford, obviously, to hire within again. No. But he just interviewed for the Ravens OC job, and he interviewed, I think that might have been the only OC job he interviewed for. But he's interviewed for other jobs in the past. I wonder if he leaves, because I don't know what this high-ranking offensive assistant thing means for Mike Kafka, because I would assume it means pass game coordinator. But you have David Shaw, which, you know, Boone likes David Shaw. I know he's over there listening. I think he does like David Shaw. The pass game wasn't necessarily a problem. But Scotty Montgomery is also the assistant head coach. So I'm curious to see if Scotty gets hired away, which at this point, not really sure if it happens or not, what that role even looks like. Because if he's I'm sure he's going to be a pass game coordinator, heavily involved in the offense. But like, I'm trying to figure out what a high-ranking offensive assistant role means. Like, what the hell it would have to be pass game coordinator, I guess, for Mike Kafka.
Yeah, it's still not known, which is kind of funny. But yeah, Scotty Montgomery, I think you were right about one point. They couldn't make that hire from within again. It seemed as though the Lions have gotten, I think in all facets, very, very incestual with like our guys the best. And I think a lot of us, even though we recognize that Scotty Montgomery has done a fantastic job in his roles within the coaching staff, if he gets an OC job somewhere else, I tip my cap and I say, congratulations. But here, you got to try out some new ideas. And they did. And the Lions did, to their credit, even if it wasn't all of ours top choice. I hope that Petzing and Kafka, I hope that they do a great job. I hope they're exactly what the Lions need.
Well, I wanted to ask you too, I don't know if you saw this, the Seahawks, John Schneider, he's the only GM to win 2 Super Bowls with 2 different rosters. I guess Les Snead would have been there, but they had similar players and they had the same coach. So it was a different quarterback and different players. But he would have been there if they won this year. I think he would have been there as well, but they didn't. So when you look at what the Seahawks have done, they took down the Rams. So Les Snead's dreams of being that are over. John Schneider I think he deserves a lot more respect. I mean, I looked at his drafts over the last couple of years, me and Boone, and he's found the last couple of years. I know he's had a long time with the Seahawks, and that's always the counterpoint. It's like, well, he's had a ton of time. When John Schneider got to the Seahawks, dude, they were in the Super Bowl in like 4 years, 3-4 years, and they've had, you know, they had the mini dynasty there where they were, you know, had great defenses in Russell Wilson. They drafted him in the mid rounds. And then they rebuilt their entire roster, got a whole new head coach after Pete Carroll. They got rid of Pete Carroll, Hall of Fame coach. And they brought in Mike McDonald, and now they're back in the Super Bowl in the favorite to win the Super Bowl again. What did you learn just from the Seahawks and John Schneider, from kind of comparing it to Brad Holmes from what the Seahawks have done?
Well, I think that after they had to overhaul their team a bit after the 2021 season when Russell Wilson left, they've done a masterful job pretty much in all aspects of building a football team, whether it is getting the right head coach in at one point, Mike McDonald, getting the right OC in, Clint Kubiak this year. But even when it comes to, you mentioned their drafts, you can go back to the 2022 draft, which has played a great role in the foundation of this team. Their first, 6 picks were Charles Cross, Boye Mafe, Kenneth Walker, Abraham Lucas, Kobe Bryant, Tariq Woolen. That's an insane draft. You look at the 2023 draft, they were able to find Devin Witherspoon, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet, and as UFAs were able to pick up Drake Thomas and Ty Okada. 2024, Byron Murphy, Tyrese Knight, AJ Barner. 2025, Gray Zabel, Nick Emanwari. And also, it's not just about drafting and about acquisitions, which I'll get to in a minute. When you're building a team and when you're kind of trying to overhaul a team, you have to make some choices that are going to hurt. You got to feel some pain. Geno Smith, gone. DK Metcalf, gone. Tyler Lockett, gone. Quandre Diggs, gone. Bobby Wagner, they bring back in for 2023.
Hall of Famer, gone.
Gone in 2024, 2025. And nobody misses them right now because the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. And then obviously with the Seahawks, what they've done, Uchenna Nwosu in 2022, 2023, Julian Love, Jaron Reed, at the trade deadline, Leonard Williams, 2024, Josh Jobe, trade deadline, Ernest Jones IV, 2025, DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, trade deadline, Rashid Shaheed. So the reason I bring all of that up is because it takes time and it takes things to be done right at pretty much every level. It's not just about acquiring. It's about acquiring, drafting, smartly discarding, and the coaching staff. And with the Detroit Lions, what you saw this year was shaky coordinators. You saw with their departures, you really, really missed Kevin Zeitler, Carlton Davis, Aaron Glenn, and Ben Johnson. You just did. You're not thinking about, oh, we got rid of this guy and it didn't hurt us. You thought of, oh, these guys left and it does hurt. And in terms of the free agent signings, since they kind of had to overhaul their team at around the same time, there's some good ones. Anzalone, Goff was obviously a trade piece, Monty. But then other than that, Roy Lopez, Avante Maddox, Rocky Sin, Amik, AQM, Reader, a lot of margins guys. Nothing wrong with those guys, but at the end of the day, Seattle hit for the last 4 seasons on pretty much everything that you could hit on, and now they're where they are. And it just is what it is. And as Lions fans, we just got to tip our cap and say, John Schneider, you done good. Hopefully Brad Holmes can have a really, really good offseason and get the Lions to where they need to go. Because Brad Holmes, at least the core with what he's drafted, should be enough to win a Super Bowl if you get everything else right.
That's crazy. I mean, to put that in perspective, what the Seahawks have been able to do. I mean, the draft, where they had 6 picks all playing right now in the Super Bowl. And on top of that, the free agency acquisitions, I think that's like the biggest thing because Brad was and I don't think he's terrible in free agency. I just don't think it's good enough. I think that's really what it is. It's just not good enough. Like when he was a director of college scouting with the Rams, like we know he has the ability to draft. We can question some of the draft picks. He's not going to hit on everyone, but that's like his specialty. But there's more to that than being a GM. Like, how do you handle contracts? Can you say goodbye and make tough decisions to guys that, you quite frankly, you drafted, you were in love with at one point? Can you say goodbye to those guys? You know what I mean? Can you acquire guys at the deadline? Can you make acquisitions in general? Good acquisitions. And John Schneider's done an excellent job of that.
Their last 3 like trade deadline acquisitions are Leonard Williams, Ernest Jones, and Rashid Shaheed.
All starters.
I think John Schneider got some flack for like, what's good's Leonard Williams going to do them this year? What good is Ernest Jones going to do them this year? But to John Schneider's credit, those weren't 1-year rentals. They were guys who are still there now. And then now Rashid Shaheed, I do think he is a 1-year rental, but shoot, look at what Rashid Shaheed's done in the playoffs. Opening kickoff in this 49ers game and that 51-yard catch to kind of get everything going in the NFC Championship. So, no, John Schneider, he deserves to be looked at as a top 5 GM in the NFL. No question about it.
Very well said, Flannel. I missed a lot of whatever happened, but very well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were talking John Schneider, which honestly, he deserves his flowers, bro. Like
for sure. Who had him in the top 5 GMs last year when we did that?
Was that you, Jeff?
I did. Yeah.
No, good for you, man.
I did. It's because he won a Super Bowl, which I think matters as a GM. But he hasn't had great drafts all the time, but he's consistent. Like you said,
He's found guys, man.
He finds guys. Like, and I'm sorry, like I think the biggest thing, obviously, that helps, and this is why the Howie Roseman thing and like the Nick Sirianni thing, it's collective. Like Mike McDonald's a hell of a coach, and on top of that, he runs the defense. The defense is great, and they have Clint Kubiak, who's the hottest name as an OC. So like offense and defense are covered. The roster spread with talented players. Like, now it makes sense. It just came down to my biggest thing. Boone's been high in the Seahawks all year. The biggest thing I was doubting them for was Sam Darnold. I just thought he would have he would crap in the playoffs. And honestly, like, he balled against the Rams. He balled out.
I did too, by the way. I thought that was going to be the difference in the Seahawks-Rams game. But at the end of the day, when you look at Sam Darnold, and I'm not going to talk too crazy, unless maybe if they win the Super Bowl and he's Super Bowl MVP, he's had 2 excellent regular seasons back-to-back.
Yeah.
And this NFC Championship game, the Seahawks, I think he was the biggest reason why they won with his play, him and Jackson Smith and Jigba, of course. But Sam Darnold was excellent. What if he has an excellent Super Bowl? We have to stop thinking him in terms of, oh, he's Sam Darnold, he was the bust on the Jets, to this guy's a damn good quarterback. Like I said, I'm not going to talk too crazy yet, but man, if the Seahawks can get this done and Sam Darnold has this dominant playoff run, we might have to have some conversation.
It's like Joe Flacco, Ravens.
Yeah.
Maybe not to that exact level, but that was like Joe Flacco. Remember with the Ravens, he balled out and they won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. And they had a great.
Got to give Sam Darnold his respect. He's having a good year. I mean, he's had a good back-to-back years.
Yeah.
Did you see the Vikings GM talk today? Did you see that?
No. What did he say?
He spoke today. They asked him about Darnold, and he was he like gave some word salad answer, but he basically said like, yeah, he goes, some decisions you kind of like, he took a shot at JJ. It seemed like, cause he did speak like they kind of regretted it for sure. Like he was like, you look up at the ceiling sometimes and you just think about certain decisions, he said it in like a professional way, but
is that Kwesi? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Kwesi?
Yeah. Cause he's actually not a bad GM either, but that was a big
he's hit or miss. He's hit or miss. There's been some draft classes that he's had where you're like,
some of those Kwesi draft classes are not.
Yeah.
I think they're like some of the all-time worst draft classes.
Yeah.
But he makes up for it in free agency, and like he's actually really good free agency wise, and he's good at bringing guys in.
He is.
He gave TJ $17 million a year, traded for him and extended him. That's and now they're going to try and get rid of TJ probably. So it's a whole thing.
Drafted Lewis Seen in the first round, but we don't have to go. We don't have to do the Kwesi Adolfo Mensa.
Whoa! You just pronounce the whole name. Hey, good for you, Flannel.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just dropped the full government. I don't even know how to say his name.
Good stuff today, Flannel. You're awesome, man. Appreciate you as always. You guys can follow Flannel at Flannel Sam _Sam on X, and he'll be joining us just like he always does. And he pops on the Saturday show as well. He helps out at crunch time. We'll talk to you soon, Flannel. Appreciate you, bro.
See ya. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Flannel. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
There you go. Flannel Sam joining the show, talking some ball with the fellas. You guys can drop your mailbag questions, and we'll get to that for the last 5 minutes of the show. The show flew by the way.
It did. My bad, too. I do apologize. I hopped off.
No, you had important business. Yeah,
Patrick Kane, all-time American points leader in NHL history.
Absolute legend.
So that happened, and I was like, we got to get it up on social. We gotta put it up.
That's a massive.
So I figured I'd hop off real quick and.
Yeah, I mean, I actually one of my friends went to that the game on. It was like in early January where he hit 500 goals. He's a
legend, dude. All time great, the greatest American hockey player. Now officially, statistically, like facts wise, if we want to talk facts. Statistically, the greatest ever from America.
Yeah, he's incredible. He really is, man. Shout out to Patrick Kane. That's insane. Longevity, dude.
It's what it is, man. And it's crazy too. Ovechkin's in the same game, and Ovechkin's all-time goals leader in NHL history, like in general. No, like not American, like in general. Why he is I believe Russian. So
yeah,
but you know what I mean. Just in general, overall.
Yeah, he's got Ovechkin's got what? Almost he's in the 900s in goals.
Might be. I don't know the exact number. I just know he's number one all time.
Yeah, he's got almost 1,700 points. Kane just passed. He's at 1,374. So yeah, he's had an incredible career, man.
No one will ever touch Wayne Gretzky, which is he's literally the greatest ever.
We'll start mailbag.
His points is insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. MC3 Houdat says mailbag. Brad was at his best when taking out Quintricia's trash. Agree or disagree? What's that even mean? Taking out his trade? I mean, I guess when he traded,
I think it was like getting rid of the guys that like they had. And I
mean,
don't
the
know.
start of the rebuild
I
was
don't think-
incredible. I mean, they had an incredible.
Yeah.
years. Yeah. I mean, that's.
But like that's any rebuild, right? Like you're gonna if you turn it around, like it's gonna look good. I don't think like with that, I feel like that statement insinuates that Brad's not good anymore. Which again, I think he still is. I think it's just he's had a couple misses with decision makings. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that should hurt Brad Holmes. I still think you should have a lot of confidence in what he's going to do.
Yeah. Hey, say what you want about Bob Quinn. Guy could draft offensive linemen. I mean, say what you want. Guy could. I mean, he could. Taylor Decker, Frank, Jonah Jackson. I think Graham's on there as well. Like
Brad did. To be fair, Brad did inherit a very good offensive line, and then he added Penei Sewell obviously with his first pick, and the Penei Sewell was kind of the cherry on top of that offensive line.
Yeah, I mean he's it is kind of it is wild. All right, ETN has a question too. Mailbag: where would you guys think Darnold ranks among quarterbacks?
Top 12 right now, probably.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think that's fair.
Depending on where you want to put him, probably like 8 to 12, depending on what's your taste.
He's in like if you want to go tiers, he's in like not saying he is. If you want to take this guy over him, that's fine. I think he's like kind of in that like Baker tier, where like Baker's in like that same range. Like he's in like the 10 to 13.
That's fair, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would take it. Just depends on your flavor. I would take Baker. Some would, Darnold.
Could you make an argument that he is higher than Jalen Hurts?
No. I would no,
Okay.
I would go. But you know what though? The reason why people would always push, and I think me and you are in the same boat, is I understand like statistically as a passer. I understand that. He doesn't have like Jalen Hurts has never thrown 30 passing touchdowns. Darnold's done it one
Jalen
time.
Hurts has never thrown like 25, I don't think.
He just doesn't, yeah. But he also, hey, he's a winner. That's what they say. He's a winner. That's what they say. You guys a winner. You see, I hate that. I always hate that.
I like, dude. Quarterback. There are just quarterbacks who have a knack of winning,
and Jalen Hurts does. He just hasn't.
Jalen Hurts does. Sam Darnold over the last 2 years, he's
been winning. Yeah,
and he just it's because like he just knows how to control an offense to stay in a game, and then at the end of the game, boom. And then if you give him any sort of defense, it's going to help even longer or even more. So there's quarterbacks that just know how to win, man. There are. Brock Purdy, very good example as well.
Austin says, Mailbag, if the Lions trade back, who would they trade with, and what picks would the Lions receive? That's a loaded question. I don't know who they would trade back, and I don't know what picks they would receive. Honestly,
I don't think anyone could guess that. You just have no clue.
It depends.
Who wants to trade up or
how far do you trade back? I mean, you're at 17. If you trade back into like the late 20s, maybe you could pick up a decent amount. I don't know.
I think you can get an idea of trade value, Austin, when it comes to like last year. I think a really good one is that Atlanta trading up. They only traded up, I think, 4 or 5 spots. I don't know how many spots they traded up actually.
They traded back into the first.
Oh, okay. So that's what it was, and they gave up a first to do it.
Yeah,
so you can give an example of someone wants number 17. Maybe you get another first round pick if a team's really desperate. If a team really loves someone, and if not, maybe you can end up with a second round pick, an extra second, or even maybe a second and a third, depending on who you're trading with and how desperate they are.
That guy up north says, Mailbag, last question. Would you prefer to move Sewell to left tackle and acquire right tackle, or keep him at right tackle, look for a left tackle? I think
I would like to move him. I think he could play left tackle, and I think it solves a lot of problems. It's easier to find a right tackle than it is a left, especially at that level. Like you don't need as high, like, yeah, you need a high level right tackle, but left tackle is a really, really important position. I would move him. I really would.
Yeah, I'm with you. You want your best offensive lineman playing left tackle, or your best tackle and best offensive lineman playing left tackle. It's not even a question. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate Sam. It's great show today. Flew by. If you're watching still, appreciate you extra. Hit the like button on the stream. It helps us. Takes a second before you leave, and subscribe. Get your merchandise. officialctsports.com. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have, I'm assuming Caleb joined the show. We won't do our pick'em this week, but we'll chop it up with Caleb. Why not? We'll have him on. We'll talk some ball, and We'll be back 8 p.m. tomorrow, so be there. But until then, I will catch you all.
Love you guys.